the next pillar in the content part, well, the next pillar in the content pillar is very, very important. And that is to understand the dynamic between the pain and the pleasure areas. So you can see here, pain to pleasure. And this is very much in line with what we have here in the product, taking customers from A to B, which is taking them from their pain situation to their pleasure situation, which means solving a problem. And you need to understand very, very precisely where is the customer right now and what is his problem, what exactly does he want to change, and where exactly does he want to go to? Where is his dream outcome? What is his desire, his fulfillment that he's striving towards? And he's thinking that, for example, he deeply wants to change himself within the topic of health or fitness or financials, or he wants to get a new girlfriend or finally find his love of his life or do whatever improvement he wants to do. And so once he finally approves that, that is where he associates his pleasure with. So imagine you are 20 pounds, 40 pounds overweight and you want to lose weight. Then being overweight and all the consequences of being overweight, like for example, not being attractive, not being in shape, not being fit, getting exhausted quite easily, eating bad, having bad habits, like this would be all associated with his pain situation. And through surveys and through analysis, we would be very deeply studying this pain situation so that we can then tell him later, and there you have to be very careful that you don't offend him too much. Like you cannot just run ads and ask people, hey, you're fat and overweight and depressed and frustrated. Hey, listen to me, I have a product for you. This won't work because, so what would happen in this case that the ego doesn't want to admit to him or herself, to itself, that this is true, that this is the case. And that's, for example, if people get triggered because you tell the truth, they don't want to see this truth and they are blind to it. They distort their own reality to feel comfortable and to feel like, imagine they have this deep frustration and sadness in them that they are overweight and they desperately want to change, but they just can't admit that they are their own cause of the suffering and then they're their own, and that they basically the reason why they are overweight because they have bad habits and everything. So people look for an outside one to blame, or they talk themselves out of the situation and try to find excuses and reasons why it is the way, and you know what I mean. So we need to deeply understand the pain of the customer so that we can subtly appeal to it and show him that we have a solution to him. And we don't want to shout in his face that you're frustrated, you're overweight, you're ugly, that won't work. You have to kind of be a bit more gentle with this pain situation, and so that you can make it emotional for him. And once you have that, and once you kind of show him, hey, I understand you. For example, if we build landing pages, we always have something that's called the pain relate section, where I don't just talk about the pain. I'm also talking about that I understand him, because if I'm the hero of the hero's journey, if I'm the story hero, then I was there. I was there 7 years ago. I was there 3 years ago. I was there 10 years ago. And I know how this feels, not to being able to do this and not getting any girlfriend because I'm overweight, or not being fit and getting easily exhausted, and how all the negative stuff of having this particular problem. And then I can tell my story. And eventually I arrive at the pleasure points. And I arrive at a potential future that I see for this potential customer is that if he would use this product and follow the process just as we did, we would eventually change our life in this area. We would get rid of all these problems and also the pain associated with these problems. And we would completely change and transform into a fulfilled, free, happy, joyful human that now no longer has these problems, but has various benefits that come with the transformation. For example, now you're finally in shape. You look in the mirror every morning and you just feel proud. You just feel happy, you're content. You are just so fulfilled with what you have achieved. You are a completely new human being, confident, joyful. You go out talking to new people. You finally get your dream husband, girlfriend, whatever. You have all the money you ever wanted. You can do whatever you want. You finally, everything clicks, everything makes sense, everything just works out. And you need to deeply study the associated pleasure points that the customer has and that the customer wants. And between those poles, you can see the desire to change. There's the desire to change from the customer, from a negative push away from the pain towards a positive pull towards the pleasure things, whatever they are, depending on your product. And this is exactly the kind of transformation that the product needs to deliver very consistently. And in your content, in your text or in your script or in your images, you say, you talk about, you show this transformation. And what can work really well is telling your own story, how you change from pain to pleasure. Or, for example, you invite some customers that have really good success stories with your product, and they say in front of the camera how they had all these problems, and after they took this product, they worked with it, they now have all these pleasure things, and the problems are basically completely gone. They have completely transformed, and they feel this amazing fulfillment and pleasure every day because of this. And the more people that do this, and the more people talk about this in your word of mouth, like imagine 3 friends lost a lot of weight because of this program, and they're now all super happy and super joyful about it. They will share it, and they will proudly share how they went from pain to pleasure, how they went from 0 to over 1 million, how they went from 50 pounds overweight to having the perfect 6-pack beach body, right? And this is very important. This is the core emotional driver of your texts and of your ads. And with everything that you do, sometimes you can't say it completely. Like, for example, you cannot say some pain stuff. You cannot just directly say. And some pleasure stuff is also some things that people don't talk about. But with everything that you do is you want to associate your brand and the offer that you sell is basically buying the pleasure. The customer buys himself out of the pain and he buys the pleasure. And the bigger the pain and the better the pleasure, the higher price people will pay for the product. If you market like this, if you write your copy, write your scripts, write your marketing material, then the next thing is also very important, which is the right balance between features and benefits.